Hi, this is Alexander with a fresh episode of the Influential Executive Podcast. Today I speak to John Christian. John is a personal friend of mine and I also consider him a mentor. Because in many ways I see that John has already reached some stage of consciousness that I can yet only imagine what the real experience is like. I don't know anyone who is as calm, cool, collected, and right here in this moment all the time. We just spent 3 days together and he was just present all the time. So much wisdom. Because John somehow is strongly connected to the bigger picture, to who he really is. Now this interview today is only for the really open-minded people. Are you really willing to take a good look at yourself? Because as John says, there's only the ego and the spirit. And the purpose of life is to let go of our ego behaviors so that only our authentic spirit remains. The ego will fight. John may say things that hurt you. The real question is, who gets hurt? Is it the real you or is it the ego protection mechanism? Prepare to have your mind blown. This is John Christian, a man with a life full of wisdom and experience. Many people dream of being rich and famous, being a superstar. What John has been. And he can tell you, that's not the final destination. That's not what it's really about. Prepare to be inspired. Enjoy my conversation with John Christian. John, thank you for joining me on the Influential Executive Podcast.
Thanks for the invitation.
I'm very excited about this interview. We've had some really deep and meaningful conversations over the past days.
Yeah.
And so I had to use this opportunity to interview you and take some of these gems of wisdom
Thank you.
and bring them to our audience.
Yeah.
So we are here to serve purpose-driven entrepreneurs, the people who really make a difference.
Yeah.
Now, what is the one thing that most entrepreneurs are overlooking about themselves or their business or their psychology that you know that's worth having a look at?
It's basically value systems. So you have the market value system that drives most of us and drives our, what we call our ego or personality mind, our belief systems on what do I need in order to feel happy. So the bottom line is all of us want to feel that our life has meaning, purpose and value. And many people don't know that because we've learned some false value systems about our own worth and a sense of being lacking in some way. So we're trying to buy our happiness and fulfillment through mistaken market values. So it basically costs us our own sense of well-being for the sake of chasing fame and fortune out of a sense of emptiness and need in our own personal relationship to ourselves. And I say that because I've done it, like so many people. When I started out, the whole market value belief system I was raised with is if I can be rich, if I can be famous, then I'll be happy. So I managed to achieve many of those things. And I would find myself in the dressing room after a show or a television or a concert performance and still feel something was missing. So is it another record? Is it more money? Is it more fame and adoration? What is it? What's missing? And I've had to learn through that whole process and also observing many. And I've observed friends who are mega rich and mega famous who still feel something's missing, something's empty. And so in looking at that closely in myself and in others, it's because we've learned some erroneous beliefs and value systems about who we are and what our true value is as human beings. and how to create from a place of a real integral sense of self-trust, of integrity with ourself and our own behavior. Many people are in conflict between I'm not enough, I need to buy happiness, so I've got to keep chasing the elusive butterfly, as I've done, just to find it empty. And then to have to sit down with myself and learn to be wiser and smarter in self-analysis and really look at what is missing. And it's the connection with self in terms of truly recognizing by the very fact that I'm alive, I'm enough. By the very fact that I'm breathing, I'm already enough. If the mind is trained, as it is in the Eastern process in many ways, if the mind is trained to be still and clear and intuitively sharp, we already know we're enough. So we don't need to try and buy all rightness or buy all happiness. We've got it. So from that perspective, you act in the world with a different set of values. I don't need to be chasing everything in order to feel okay. I feel okay. Because I feel okay, things actually work a lot better. And I create from a different set of values because I'm not trying to buy your approval, somebody else's approval, the boss's approval, the wife's approval, society's approval, because I'm taking responsibility for holding myself accountable.
This is huge. This is basically the puzzle that we're all solving in life.
Yeah.
The difficult thing with this is people in our audience, they already understand that let's get rid of our egos and let our hearts be in charge.
Yeah.
And one thing I found is that with every step I made in spiritual growth, it seemed like the ego was sneaking in through the back door.
Yeah.
Suddenly feeling superior because I'm so much more spiritual than the other people.
Absolutely so.
So anyone listening to you right now may say, yeah, you're right. It's not about riches. It's not about fame. It's not about searching validation. Now, how do we know that we're not still doing that, but on a subconscious level?
It's very subtle and it is a journey. What's missing in society at the moment, and you can see this quite clearly for anybody that really looks at the ancient wisdom of the East, where they look inside the self. The whole development of life is to know self and know how to have integrity with self, life and others, how to move energy in such a way that because you have integrity and honesty with self, you actually gain the universe, right? But you don't need to because you feel so good in the first place. That's the difference. So it's this catch-22. You can have it all because you feel so good about yourself, right? Whereas what we see in the Western world is we've put thinking in front of intuitive intelligence, knowing, seeking, understanding of how to do the right thing in the right moment by myself, by you, by other people. So we've developed mindsets that actually keep us in our head, behaving from erroneous belief systems and thinking and habits that cheat us from sitting with our own sense of truth and integrity. So we're actually, to put it bluntly, most of us are living a lie. We're tricking ourselves. We're deluded. That's why the Eastern world knows that. They know this is a danger, it's a pitfall of the personality, the ego. If this mind is not taken, if it's not trained from the age of 7 to develop a character of integrity and self-trust that is recognizing intuitive intelligence that most of us refer to as a spiritual aspect of our nature, but it's actually a higher level of our own mind, a superior intelligence than the thinking mind. The thinking mind is basically only what we've learned. So it's full of nothingness, really.
It's parroting things that we've heard
It's
in the
just
past.
parroting, same old stuff, same old cultural beliefs, same blah, blah, blah. And we become trapped and enmeshed in that. And then we teach each other this is the only way to do things. And then we make education systems out of it and companies out of it. And then it's so obvious at the moment, you look into the world, it doesn't work. Of course it doesn't work, because there's a profound imbalance between head, heart, integral feeling and integral behavior. Right? So we have to put in place systems and forums that help people to become aware enough, conscious enough, self-respecting enough, self-examining enough in out of self-respect, not out of looking for wrong, right?
It must be better.
Yeah. That all needs to go, because that's how most people drive themselves, and come back to a place of healthy self-searching and self-understanding. And to do that, as the Eastern masters understand, I've got to understand that I have a personality mind that is like a trickster. All right? And if that mind doesn't sit quietly and peacefully, listening to the intuitive intelligence of my own heart and feelings through which that speaks, then I'm just in the thought zone, and my thinking runs my life, and my life is only as good as my thinking. And most people don't know how to think. They think they do, right? And that's how we trick ourselves. The mind is the great trickster. So the Buddhists have a lovely saying, there's only one enemy, guess who it is? And there's only one battle, and guess who it's with? Stop the battle, what do you find? You have everything, you've always had everything, and you know all that you need to know.
Yeah. This may be quite ground shaking for people listening and thinking, I've been doing personal development, I've been doing programs, I understand goal setting, I learned new habits and morning routines. What you're saying here is basically to again question everything you think you know.
It's a refinement process. This is where we lack these skills at the moment because of lack of sufficient exposure to true knowledge, not what we think and assess as intelligence through our unenlightened education systems at present. But true knowledge, what is true knowledge? It's what we already truly sense, feel, know is the right thing to do, the right way to think, the right way to speak and behave. Because we're students in life of our own ego, personality self, we are the enemy to ourselves, if you put it in those terms. So we're constantly, every day, there's this battle within of the inner knowing sense voice, feeling voice of, whoa, I shouldn't have said that. Whoa, I shouldn't have done that. Why did I do that? Oh my God. I wish I hadn't. Can I change that? Right? Yeah. So that's the highest intuitive intelligence speaking to our personality mind and giving us the freedom to make ourselves accountable, to develop the skill of looking from that, it's like the mind's eye, at the personality mind and all of its traits and chatter and conditioning and everything else, and be able to respect yourself enough to go, whoa, look at the way I've learned to think. And every time I give just life to one negative thought of self-doubt or selfishness, what happens in my body? Because every thought is an electrobiochemical response that I just created and sent a message through my central nervous system. And every cell of my body goes, oh, you want me to look like that, stand like that, feel like this. right? And the body is this perfect alchemical instrument that will play out everything that is the most dominant process of thinking.
So you're saying that the ideal business strategy, when you live on purpose and you want to make a true impact, has to do more with monitoring your thoughts than any strategy.
Strategies are fine, but they're just mind games. Unless a person is integrated in using a mental strategy in order to bring forward the truth and integrity of the heart through the actions into the life. And of course that's a challenge because we've lost our way for a long time. So there's lots of people out there now who think that talking about heart and intuition and feelings is candy floss, right? That's fair enough. If I hadn't have had the experiences that I've had, I would have probably said the same thing. But we have to be willing to recognize that what feeling intuitive people are picking up is another dimension of sense perception, of knowledge, of experience, that if the thinking, disciplined, structured business mind can include in their process, they become a whole person, a whole conscious, intelligent, functioning organism in their business, sitting, tuning in, taking responsibility, feeling what's going on with every thought, and being available to other people, and what's really going on here between us, and is this good energy? Are we creating an energy that brings us rapport with each other, or are we just here kind of wheeling and dealing and you know, do you know what I mean? Do I really care about you, or do I only care about the deal right now? Are you the kind of person that I would want to spend my life working with, or do I sense that, hey, boy, this would take a lot of work to get rapport with this person that would produce a vitality and an energy that would actually have results that we would deem to be a successful business.
Yeah. Like one destructive or toxic relationship takes up so much time, energy, and money over time.
Everything.
And you're saying by being tuned in into yourself and your energy, you can sense these things and prevent taking this wrong turn.
Yeah. And it's a life lesson. Once you've lost it, if you've not been raised with those skills, again, which is why in the East, in many cultures, that's priority from day one. That's the way you're raised, because they know the pitfalls, as I said before. In the West here, we've lost it. We rely on only thinking as a process of understanding, and that's a tiny, tiny tip of the iceberg to the intelligence that we have in this sensitive, receptive instrument called a body, through which we can read, feel, understand so much more of who we're with, what's happening, what's going on, where we're really going with each other. Just think, when that's clear with a well-trained person, you cut, excuse the French, but you cut the crap, and you make decisions much more clearly, much more integrally, and then collectively you bring an energy, a vitality, and aliveness that people instinctively recognize as, this is good, it's something valuable here, I want to be close to this, I want to be part of this. See the difference?
Yeah, totally. Can you speak a few words for the more logical-minded, left-brain people in the audience about what science has already shown in terms of power of the heart, energy, and connecting with the reality in that way?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's a great deal of research available online and in books form nowadays of. But for me, most of the books that we have written by Western writers is just more thinking, seeking, searching. I personally am deeply inspired by the Eastern writers, the yogi masters, who have gone inward to experience the reality of life and truth. They're not just thinking, looking for it. They've gone in and they've found it. So their writings are from direct experience of conscious intelligence and perception. It's a higher level of sense perception intelligence than our normal 5 physical sense perception, which is where most of us rely every day on that limited. So our 5 senses only give us limited perception. We know that there's television signals flying through us right now, but our physical senses can't see that. But our subtle senses do, the same as animals do. The only difference for most of us is that we've not spent a life keeping that sharp, pristine, alive. So we don't function from that place. And that's the pitfall that we fall into for ourselves. It takes a long time to climb out once you've fallen in. But you can, with the proper exposure to the proper knowledge and the proper training. So to do that, it means the development of holistic brain function that includes tummy brain, as they call it in the East. And we are just discovering here, we think, what the East has known for thousands of years. So there was a documentary on the BBC about the tummy brain, and that actually we have cells within the solar plexus that function like the brain, and they have more influence over the thinking than the thinking have over them. So we call it gut feeling, sixth sense, right? But that's not clear for most of us because we don't breathe properly. We are mentally struggling with ourselves, so we're disturbing that brain with self-judgment, self-criticism, guilt, doubt, fear. So we're not in our body energetically in a sense perception clear way.
What you're saying here is we were born into this amazing machine,
Instrument,
and we've learned to live in it.
yeah.
But we barely scratch the surface of what this instrument is really made to do. And so what you do is help people play this instrument.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's so many ways that you can help. I mean, as a musician, I've understood the body is an instrument. As a singer, as a speaker, all of these things, the bottom line is, do I understand my body as an instrument? Do I understand how to tune it in? Because on the personality human level, that's every moment, every day process of awareness. I'm not in tune right now. Why? Because my mind's lazy, it's all over the place, my energy's low, or I'm struggling and I've got this problem and da, da, da. So am I tuning into that and making it all feel more real than more of an obstacle? Or do I know a higher mind to reach for, a higher inspiration that's whispering behind all those other voices that I'm creating? Come on, just be quiet, be still, calm yourself down, all right? Be clear, then you'll feel better instantly, then you'll be clearer instantly, and then you produce a different energy through you that resolves the problem where you were just making the problem and adding to the problem. And that's why the only enemy there is us, and the only battle there is with ourselves. And what's lacking at the moment, because our education systems are not making it foundation principle from the day one, is the awareness of the value of personal responsibility.
Personal responsibility.
Yeah.
I'm sure that practically everyone listening right now thinks to themselves, I am personally responsible.
Mm-hmm.
Are they really in the deepest sense of the word? Because I thought that, but some of our conversations made me rethink that evaluation.
Yeah. Like I say, it's a journey. Um, and because I know the journey from my own experience, I understand it's a journey. It's a journey from lack of awareness to awareness. And it's a journey to realize, oh my God, it's like all my life I've been on this incredible journey of falling away from myself in some mental fantasy and seeking all these dreams and then wondering, wait a minute, something I remember. It's like a call, a feeling that seems to be missing. What is it? Where's it gone? Who am I really? What's it all about? Where am I going? Okay, and it doesn't matter what culture or belief system you're raised in, we've all got that same voice because that's the voice of nature or real intelligence, which some of my masters have referred to as the mind within nature.
This reminds me of a story that you told me yesterday about the moment you became famous. You were first recognized on the street.
Yeah.
Because your song was doing quite well in the charts. You didn't even know about it.
Yeah.
And the door to fame and riches had literally been opened.
Yeah.
And a voice spoke to you.
Yeah.
What was that crossroad that you recognized over there?
I mean, this will sound really candy floss and weird to the left. Yeah. Business mind. Only because they're not, their mind is engaged with just business. Let's do the deal. Da, da, da. But that's a shame because we're functioning like half-wits. So I had the personal experience of suddenly overnight, I'm realizing I've become famous. Overnight, there's people screaming that, in Spain, this was like, screaming at me, I'm this a star, and I didn't even realize that my record had gone to the top of the charts and had been there for like a month or so in France and Spain, and suddenly the record company said, oh, we better get him over here because now so I arrive with all these adoring fans that don't even realize they're screaming at me at the airport. And then there's the big Cadillac, and then there's the record company saying, whatever you want, it's yours. I was in the most expensive hotels and, taken out to all these parties. And the record had won an award for the most romantic ballad of the year. And so I had to go to a discotheque to receive the award and to sign the 45s they were in those days, with all these screaming kids and the noise of the song blaring out in the background. And I literally heard this voice, and it came from, like, it came through me and was all around me above that noise, and it said, you see how easily you could lose yourself right now. And my thinking mind went, what was that? Where did that come from? But my intuition, intelligence went, boy, is that right? Is that true? Right here in this moment, my mind can be seduced. I could be lost for the rest of my life in what I went on to see others do. I could be completely seduced into a way of living and thinking where all that matters is that I'm buying okayness, buying more adoration, buying more attention, buying more property, more cars, more everything else because it would please my five senses. But it wouldn't have satisfied my intuitive feeling sense of the value of life and the way I'd live it. Yeah.
It's a big message. For people listening right now, I'm sure they picked up on tons of new insights, new angles, new perspective to this super important topic. Now, of course, there's always an excuse not to
Yeah.
have a true look at myself, not
Yeah.
to truly examine my beliefs,
Yeah.
because my agenda is full. I
Yeah.
have all
Haven't
kinds
got
of
time for it.
commitments.
Too busy.
Which are some of the red flags that people may recognize in their life or in their experience or in their thoughts that are a clear indicator that more than anything, this is where all the benefit lies?
Stress, pressure, lack of inner peace, trying too hard, running away, avoiding, being in self-denial, not paying attention to what you instinctively sense. I know I should be doing that, but I also know I'm not doing it. Right? So I know I should be taking more time to be with the kids and the family, but I'm not doing it because my market conditioned self is saying, no, you're going to be out there getting the deal. And that's what a man does to provide for the family, or a woman to provide for the family. And that's what makes you a real person. Instead of knowing, do you know what? I really like who I am. And the way I conduct myself is what provides, because I use the energy in the right way. It's totally different perspective from I'm trying to buy society's idea of what I'm supposed to be as a human being instead of my own experiential truth of who I am as a human being. Right? So the lack of quiet mind. Again, why in the East meditation is primary. Yeah, I'm just back from the East. What do? I go back there, so I'm out of the distractions of our way of thinking we're supposed to behave, to come back to deepening my own self-discipline, getting up at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock to be with the yogi masters, understand what is required to use the body in the right way to live correctly. So you get up that time in the morning and you learn so much about, oh my God, this is what it's like to be in my body when I've done what is necessary for this mind to become peaceful and quiet and still. What does that take me? Phew. All of the habits and conditionings of a society saying, you haven't got time for that, you've got to be doing this. What's going to happen back at work if you're not available for work? Blah, 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 blah. What will people think of you if you're out there doing candy floss? So I have to do that because the pressure of our society at the moment, because most people are buying into it, is a heck of a job to stand against for your own truth and integrity. So it's a real choice. It's a real challenge. It's a decision to be true to yourself for the values that you instinctively know are the right ways to breathe, live, and behave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which support can you provide to people hearing this, seeing this interview, thinking, okay, John clearly knows what he's talking about, and if I'm really honest to myself, I hear that small voice whisper like, yes, that's a really good idea. Like, it's time to take a proper look at myself now. I know what you've done for me over the past days. Solid mirror, very valuable. What are some of the ways that you can support in this journey?
Well, like you've just said, really, it's creating forums where we can be together and learn to be sincere in wanting to know ourselves and wanting to re-educate ourselves in correct thinking, correct attitude and behavior, and examination of belief systems, because we run our life on our beliefs, and it's so obvious to see the power of belief that we would, in the name of religion, kill each other because our belief is my God's the only God and your God is a different, and all that kind of stuff. Not just religious beliefs, but beliefs across the board. Why do I run my life on that just because somebody taught me to? Have I even questioned, is this belief real?
Yeah.
Have I checked it out? What does it do to my body? What has it done to my life all these years when I've religiously lived by it and I would kill you if you disagree with me? I mean, what kind of insanity is that? And it's the same, I have to say this in all honesty, there are many business-minded people out there right now who don't care about what they do to you or anybody else as long as they get the money and build the empire. And it's obvious it doesn't work. They're only going to have to pay the price. That's called karma, or cause and effect, at the end of the day. So it's very clear, it's in all of our faces right now, that we need to become self-enlightened, in the sense of enlightenment meaning knowing. So we need to create forums and get back together. We've been doing that as a one-on-one over the last few days. So I've been holding a mirror to you, like you just said, which simply means I see, because I'm looking into myself, the way my mind functions. It can trick me and all that kind of stuff, but I clear that. And then when I clear that, I intuitively see you. And I see when you're being false and not true to yourself, and therefore tempted to be the same with me. The only difference is because I've developed that skill, I care enough about you to catch you and stop you doing that habit, because you're only cheating yourself. Make sense? So we need to get together and learn with each other. How do you do that? Right? How do you do the things I've learned to do in my life? My master teachers have helped me to learn and hone that skill and find that skill to be a truly aware person, right? Even aware of the moment when I'm not being aware right now. And there's a price. Do I want to live with that price? If so, yeah, fine, I can live with it, but it's probably going to hurt. It's going to be painful for the time I'm doing that. But for the moment, I'm not being true to somebody, true to myself.
And for the people around you.
And to the people around me. So do I really want to put that energy into the world and have it come back to me tenfold? Because that's what happens. It's called karma in the East, cause and effect. And if we truly understood that, we would be responsible caretakers for our thinking and our imaginings. We would be so careful, because we would not want to pay the price of our irresponsibility, knowing that energy is coming back tenfold. It's going to be my lesson, because I started it.
Whole lifetimes go wasted.
Yeah.
Just following a belief that is not helpful, or just keeping up with a role, a mask that was once put on.
Yeah, so that's one of my training programs, all the masks we wear. So we work together through creative acting skills that I've learned and discovered for myself. Oh my God, doing that is a great way to discover yourself and learn about yourself. So I bring those kind of experiences into the training programs, and I do it in many different ways, depending on what the group is and what the interest is, whether they're more dominantly left brain people or dominantly right brain orientated. And I use that carefully, because to me, the whole body is like the brain. It's just a filter for consciousness. But we know, obviously, there's functions within the brain that are more prominent in the filtering of that information. So for me, the developing of the intuitive ability and opening this mind's eye to see clearly again is the foundation of all the training that I do. And that's helping people to tune themselves into a place of receptive, safe, trusting learning, where we can tap that intuitive intelligence with each other, all become much more wiser and aware from sharing our experience. Oh my God, look what I just saw. Look, I just realized then we're really growing as humans, human beings together. And our whole life changes. It's not just in the business, it's the whole family. To do these things requires a complete whole life change.
Yeah.
And that's what most people don't want to do.
Yeah. Well, good thing is it goes in small steps.
Yeah.
And every step you feel more complete, you feel more confident, you feel stronger.
Yeah.
And so the changes are more an effect than a mountain to climb.
Yeah. So that's a good point what you've made. Understanding the journey is what's missing. That's why we make the journey so difficult unnecessarily. That's the most important of the focus of the work that I do and my approach. How do we help each other understand the journey we're all on? Just looks different because we act it out in different ways. But it's the same journey. It's that same mind within nature that's calling us to tune into it, live by it, function from it, create from it.
Where do people go when they want to get in contact? Say, hey, John, I want to take this journey seriously.
Yeah.
Where do they go, and what can they do?
Yeah, well, I'm in the process of doing what I can in my little way, of being with people like yourself and gathering like minds, and going through where people will open the doors for me, like you opened the door for this interview. So the opportunity to spend time together and be real and human and honest with each other, and see what we can create that helps us sow seeds so that spreads and becomes integral in the consciousness of as many people as we can possibly touch. So I'm in that process of contributing my part to that.
People can find you on Facebook, I understand?
Yeah, you can find me on Facebook. You can find me on lifebalanceportal.com.
Lifebalanceportal.com.
Or john@lifebalanceportal.com. Obviously purposely chosen because my experiential understanding has been impressed on me by my teachers. If there's no balance, there's no clarity, there's no good energy, there's no real effective creativity.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
John, thank you for this super important reminder.
Yeah.
The thing we easily forget.
Yeah, all the time.
And it's good to see how you put people back on track.
Yeah, thanks. It's been nice to have this time with you. Yeah, cool.
Very cool. That is John Christian. How do you feel right now? What are you saying to yourself? What are you thinking about doing differently? Is there a new intention you want to set out for yourself? Is there something you can do over the next days, weeks, months to work with these truths, this wisdom that just has been shared? Because you know that it's your psychology that has the business in a chokehold. The freer you are, the more authentic you are, the more you are connected to your true self, the more your business will grow. The bigger your impact, the more positive influence you have on everybody around you. So what is it for you? What are you going to change after being exposed to these truths? That's it. This was the Influential Executive episode for this week. I hope you're as inspired as I am. Now let's all go out, influence people, create beautiful things, and most importantly, let's have some fun.